Hello, I'm Jonathan Wells, and I'm a PhD candidate in the Center for Hydrate Research, which is the Hydrate Research Lab on campus, led by Professor Carolyn Koh. So just to fill you in, since most people don't know what gas hydrates are, they are solid inclusion compounds that form when you have water and small gases, things like less than C6, that combine at high pressure and low temperature, and they make a solid that looks just like ice, like you can see in the pictures on the left. The key difference being, though, is that instead of forming a planar water structure, the water molecules hydrogen bond together to form cages around the gas molecules. And so this gives them some unique properties like gas storage. And so you can do things like you see with the picture on the right there with the flame, where if you have like methane filling the cages, for example, they can sustain a flame. And so they're of research interest for a few different reasons. The first one is for an area called flow assurance, and this is because in oil and gas pipelines, you have water and gas present at high pressures, and the bottom of the ocean is fairly cold, such that hydrates can form in pipelines and can completely block them, like you see in the lower left Petrobras picture there, which is obviously we want to avoid that. They actually played a part in the Gulf of Mexico BP blowout almost 10 years ago now. And so we're interested in preventing them from forming and blocking pipelines. The next main area that they're of research interest in is for, we call it Hydrate Technologies. So this is things like using hydrates as gas storage, like you see in the hydrate pellets picture. Those are being used to store natural gas. They also get used for gas separations. So like we can separate hydrogen from carbon monoxide or carbon dioxide, for example. And they also get used for water desalination. Because when the hydrate structure forms, salt doesn't participate. So you can form hydrates, exclude the salt, and then melt your hydrates later and get fresh water. The third key area of hydrate research is hydrates in nature. So hydrates naturally occur on the bottom of the ocean all around the world. These are methane hydrates, and so there's interest in extracting the methane and also using methane or using hydrate structures to sequester carbon dioxide at the bottom of the ocean. So in terms of these research areas, our group is focused mostly on the first two. So we do a lot of flow assurance, and we do also a fair bit of hydrate technology. And then we don't do so much like the geology part of hydrates in nature, but we are doing research to look at exchanging carbon dioxide for methane and like lab scale experiments to help facilitate that. So yeah, everyone in our group is studying hydrates in some aspect or another, and they're either, we have people who are purely experimentalists, people who spend their whole PhD without going in the lab and just do modeling stuff, and a lot of people work on both. We have a lot of lab space. We've got 3 labs in Alderson Hall with various equipment. Most of it's high pressure equipment, since that's when hydrates form. And we also publish multiple softwares like CSM Hike and CSM Gem that can predict when hydrates will form or how long they'll take to dissociate and that sort of thing. So our group, the flow assurance part, we mostly work with a consortium of oil and gas companies for the flow assurance. And these are all the logos you see along the bottom. So twice a year we'll have meetings with all these companies where they all come to campus, and it's kind of like a mini conference. We'll present what we've been doing on the flow assurance front. With regards to other work that we do, it's like more typical research funding like DOE and NSF, that sort of thing. So we have a lot of collaborators that we work with all around the world. So I've just labeled some on this map here, but all over the US and additionally Brazil, Europe, and in Asia. And Normally, pre-COVID, you could expect to be traveling to these collaborators. In my PhD, it's probably been like at least once a year that I've been traveling to one of them to do work in their labs. So hopefully that'll start up again soon. But these are all things like Berkeley, for example, is at the National Lab. We work with NREL also, which is in Golden. Also, we've worked with people at NYU and other schools. And then there's also a lot of commercial partners like various oil and gas companies in Houston, and we've got a collaborator we work with in Hawaii. So in terms of the people that are actually a part of our group rather than who we're working with at all these other places, we've got lots of experienced faculty. If you start reading Hydrate papers, you'll probably notice that pretty much any paper you read is going to cite one of these faculty at some point in their paper. It's hard to write a paper about hydrates without doing that. So we have a fairly large group, and there's usually at least a couple of visiting scholars at any given time. I'd say it's between 10 and 15 usually, and then maybe a couple of postdocs as well. That has a pretty large international representation. We've got members from China, Malaysia, Spain, all over. And the group does like to spend a lot of time together. So the first on the top left of these 4 pictures is from a conference, but the top right is from a group bicycle ride that we like to have every year, where we go up into the mountains and see the leaves changing, and then we'll usually end with lunch somewhere as a group. But also the group likes to do other like more frequent, more regular things together. So on the bottom left, for example, we had an IM soccer team that we played together with every week. We also played IM Ultimate Frisbee. So the group does like to spend time together, even outside of work. And then we also have a 4-legged group member named Bill on the bottom right there, who spends a lot of time in the office. I would say he's a major perk of joining the group. In terms of other perks, the caveat that these were all pre-COVID. We're still going to lots of conferences, but now most of them are virtual. Hopefully that'll start back up in person soon. But the big one is called the International Conference on Gas Hydrates, which happens every 3 years and is usually in some cool location. Last year's was supposed to be in Singapore. Previous editions have been in Beijing and Sweden, and even Denver at one point. But it's usually in some international location. Another conference that we go to is the Gordon Conference. So they have these for all sorts of different areas of research. But regardless of what area of research you get into, I would recommend trying to go to one if you get the chance. They're a lot of fun, and you get to talk with a lot of the big names in your field. But these are just pictures from some locations that we've had conferences at recently. And another big perk, not specific to our group, but that I wanted to talk about was living in Golden, Colorado is pretty great. Gets over 300 days of sunshine per year. The top left picture on this set of 4 is taken on campus. So we've got the mountain with the M on the other side, and then this is facing the other direction. So Golden is kind of surrounded by mountains. It has a cute little downtown area with this fun "Howdy folks, welcome to Golden" sign. But also we're very close to the high Rockies, so there's lots of good skiing like you can see, and then the last picture was taken on a hike in the summer, so there's a lot of cool outdoor stuff to do. And even if you're not like a huge nature person, but I think you would become one when you start living here, there's still a lot of stuff. Even though Golden's like not the biggest town, we're very close to Denver. It's about 20 minutes away. There's a train line that goes right there too that's free for students, so it's pretty easy to get to. So we have the mountain appeal, and also we're pretty close to a big city too. So I guess to summarize, our group is on the cutting edge of hydrate research, one of the leaders in the field worldwide, really. Then it's a large group that definitely has the resources for you to succeed with the research you want to do. It's a really fun group of people that we do lots of travel and conferences, hoping that gets back to normal. Even from like my first semester in grad school, I was going to a conference. I got to go to a conference. And we've also got an excellent location in Golden, Colorado. So thanks for listening. And if you have any questions for me, my email is on the bottom left there. Feel free to reach out. Thanks.